The 2020 COVID-19 pandemic has not only affected the world, but also the Hampton University family as a whole. As students start to settle into their new quarantine lifestyle, they start to think about the changes they may face in life. They start to think about their post-graduation changes, lifestyle changes, and also societal changes as a whole. These are their stories.
So, what's going on? My name is Clark Rozier. I'm a senior, graduating senior here at Hampton University, and I'm going to answer a few questions from my friend Cam. So, the first one, how has this whole pandemic affected my post-grad plans? It's had a moderate effect. I've accepted a job offer. It requires me to move to the DMV area, and it's mainly just impacted the logistics of everything. Like, I'm trying to find an apartment with a friend of mine, and it's definitely slowed the process down a lot. We're having a lot more trouble getting in contact with like complexes and their managers, and getting our questions answered and things like that. And I understand it's a lot going on right now, but yeah, that's one way. The job that I took, it can be done remotely. It can be done from home. It doesn't require me to be in like an office environment every day, so it doesn't really affect that. But yeah, I guess I'm blessed. That's all that's really affected.
The pandemic has personally affected my post-graduation goals because I am a dancer, so a lot of auditions for different dance teams are during this time, and because we're doing this, we're on lockdown, we're in quarantine, we aren't able to have those auditions. So they've been pushed back, and so it kind of pushed back my moving plans and just everything that I expected to be doing right now, I haven't been able to do because of the pandemic.
This pandemic has unfortunately changed an important thing that I was about to go to before this pandemic got worse. I met a sergeant not too long ago, and I took a test, and it was for the military, and so I was able to qualify myself to go to MEPS, and which was a facility where I would qualify going to the military. My branch is the Air Force. I wanted to be in the Air Force. However, it was abruptly cut and canceled due to this pandemic. Now, I am happy in a way that it did cancel because I was scared that while I was there, I will unfortunately get this virus because I know it was that bad. But at the same time, I am sad because it was a big experience that was waiting for me, and I could have made more friends and just have a whole new world that was waiting for me, and it's been interrupted by this virus, and hopefully I hope that it will come back once all this is over.
I think that the COVID-19 pandemic has actually made me more excited to pursue my post-graduation goals. I aspire to become a physician and really help people, and it's been my calling since I was, I'm gonna say, starting at the age of like 3 and 4, when I really was just interested and intrigued by how people get sick, why people get sick, and how I can help other people. I know a lot of people who have turned away from the idea and the route of going into the medical field based off of the treatment of healthcare professionals without the proper protection, equipment, and without the proper recognition as well. They are truly fighting every single day, and they're fighting a battle that is so intense and so real. However, I think that for myself personally, going into the medical field, this only makes me want to do it more, for the simple fact that we need physicians who care, and we need physicians who are truly going to advocate on their patients' behalf to make sure that they are getting the best treatment possible and that they are getting top of the line when it comes to being able to save their life. And while I know that that can sound a little bit intense, and it can definitely sound a little bit scary, like within the next decade, if this was to happen again, I will be on the front lines. And while it can be really nerve-wracking and really scary, I think it's something that I'm mentally preparing for. because it's the line of work that I want to go into. And when we take an oath to truly help patients and to truly take their care into our own hands, it's an oath that I take really seriously. So I think that it hasn't changed my post-graduation plans. I think that it's only ignited me to want to pursue them and chase them even more than I already have.
My future has been impacted massively by coronavirus, because for international students it's already hard to find a job in the US because of visa and other restrictions, and I cannot start a business because I'm an international student. So I was trying to get internships, 6 months internships, 1 year internships in different companies, but now they don't hire anymore and everything is on hold. So that impacted me in a huge way, because now also in Europe that I try to apply, they don't hire anymore, and it's completely understandable. I understand, I can't be mad at anybody. It just happens.
Specifically, it hasn't really affected my post-graduation goals. I'm commissioning into the Navy, and I'm still going to do that. And this quarantine and the pandemic hasn't really changed that, and I have orders to leave in July. But it did affect my goal of commissioning and having a commissioning ceremony. Due to the quarantine, I'm actually going to have to commission virtually, so it did change that plan and that goal of mine in that regard. Number 2.
So the next question is, what lifestyle changes I had to make recently? Well, personally, for me, the only thing was adjusting to the online classes, and because of how everyone has to stay home, we are in lockdown, I'm not able to work. Most of the small businesses are closed down, and I worked in a small business, so they're closed. I'm home, I cannot work because I am not essential. So that's the only change to my lifestyle, is that I'm home instead of working and going to school, just being home and taking classes.
My lifestyle has changed in a good way, because I've been keeping myself clean and consistent with this virus. When I go out, I would wear a mask, put on a pair of gloves, and whenever I head back home from grocery shopping, I would spray everything down, wash my clothes, take a shower to wash all the germs off me, and I would even take an airborne, because I'm a hypochondriac and it doesn't really sit with me with this virus. And it has also helped me with my personal project, as I am working on a screenplay, and I also been working on my homework more often than usual. So it has helped me in good ways and unfortunately bad ways as well.
It's actually interesting how much I've had to change my lifestyle because of this pandemic. Ironically enough, it's made me take better care of myself than I usually do, which is really weird. But yeah, I've actually had to remind myself to try to eat healthier and like go outside and like, you know, take walks or exercise or do something, because otherwise, you know, when the world's at a halt like it is, you kind of want to just mope and just sit around and just become totally sedentary, because you have no motivation, especially with our lack of socialization and like everything just being so drastically different. You know, humanity, like we can't cope, we can't process that. So I mean, it's like a deer in headlights. You just want to sit there and just not, you know, do anything and not take care of yourself properly and just let yourself go. And in that case, the pandemic has actually helped me in trying to take better care of myself while I'm stuck here.
So most recently, I've had to move back to Indiana from Hampton back into my mom's house. So it's been different because I haven't been able to do the things that I usually do or have the freedom that I usually have. But it's kind of okay because we are on lockdown anyway, so it's not like I was going out. But that's been a lifestyle change. I personally have not been doing a lot of cooking. I've been doing a lot of, you know, grocery shopping or things of that nature, or even working. Like I had to stop working because the type of work that I do is contact, so I had to stop doing that. So I've been not getting money, but trying to adapt to doing things virtually. So it's been hard. The schooling has been hard, but hopefully it'll be all over soon.
Oh, wearing a mask thing outside. I wear a mask everywhere I go, even if it's to just go grocery shopping or go get some food. I have a mask on and I also have gloves on, constantly sanitizing my hands, constantly washing my hands, singing songs while I wash my hands, Lysol everything down. I just feel as if I feel like I have to make sure everything around me is clean now because I don't know what's been on or who's been touching it. When I do go shopping or grocery shopping, I should say, I tend to grab from the back. And I've been eating at home a lot more than I'm usually accustomed to.
Rather than going out and possibly doing it in other locations. I think that's a very big lifestyle change. I think that us also eating in more has been a very big change as well. Of course, we order out every once in a while, but for the most part, we've all really been really stringent about just eating within our own house and cooking all of our own meals. So I'm gonna say about 95% of the meals that we eat now are very much in our own house. And I think the last big social change that we've had to make as a family is really how we interact with each other. It can be a lot being in a house with 3 other people all cramped up in the same space when we're normally able to go out the house as we please, when we're able to go and occupy ourselves outside of the confines of this building. So I think especially being a college student and having a younger sister who's about to go into college, my parents as well as us have really found ways to interact with each other without getting on each other's nerves.
So I actually, I feel like the quarantine has forced people to obviously stay inside, and I think it's helped us to develop a couple skills, maybe practice, and given us a lot of time to do the things we always said we wanted to do. For example, I learned how to cut my hair, and I've been practicing cooking and making a lot of meals, and that'll probably be a lifestyle change that I'll implement and be more self-sufficient and independent for a while, being that I can cook and cut my own hair and hopefully save a couple bucks in the process.
Number 3, do you think that society would change after this is over? Absolutely. I feel as if, with all these rules in place, the whole 6 feet social distancing, and then hearing different things about, festivals and concerts are being postponed until 2021. And just things are not going to be the same because nobody's really going to want to. I know a lot of people are not going to want to just go back to the ways of, touching this, touching that. Some people will, some people won't. Some people are taking this seriously, some aren't. I just feel as if nothing's really going to be the same. This pandemic has molded a new change in society that really only time will tell what's going to happen, because we are not going to get over this in a couple of months, or this is going to take some time, and it's going to take some hard-headed people to slow down and listen and just be like, look, this is something serious. This is just nothing to play with. And I just think nobody's really going to be the same after this, because this shows that we are not really taking care of ourselves and following the CDC guidelines. Without a pandemic of washing our hands and cleaning stuff regularly, it took this to make people see that, germs can really be spread this quickly and this fast without really even doing anything. You could be next to someone that has it and boom, you have it and didn't even know. And it's just just taking the necessary precautionary steps to make sure that you're safe at all times will be forever changed after this. And
that's a difficult question to answer, because change how? Change their life, be different, be more cautious. I don't know, but from experience and knowing how people are, I don't think society will change that much, because for example, let's say a tornado or hurricane hit a certain part of a country. People, they change for a while, but give them a couple months and they go right back to how they were before the incident.
Remote and 2 days in the office probably will be a great deal. I don't know. But yeah, I think we'll prove a lot of things in those terms. And I'm just excited to see when new companies are gonna come out. I hope not too many companies will fail. I know a lot of companies will go bankrupt and will fail, especially small businesses. They have to pay rent and leases and, you know, massive costs, employees, and I'm sad for that. But yeah, I just believe it's the start of a new era because people now are forced to do it. You know, it's not an option. You have to work remotely, so you have to figure it out and see if you really need to be in the office. That's it. Thank you very much.
I think our society absolutely will never be able to go back to the way it was before, because for a lot of reasons. A big one for me is the fact that it seems like the earth is actually kind of restoring itself a little bit, since all of society has kind of had to halt and just stop. And like, for example, in Venice, which is actually where I was, part of my study abroad program was we went to Italy and we went to Venice. And it's crazy to me because when I was there were no dolphins. There were no I didn't see any sign of sea life at all when we were riding on the boat to get into the main part of Venice. And I just saw an article like 2 weeks ago saying how actually shortly after quarantine started for the rest of the world, the dolphins came back, and the smog in China was clearing. It was actually getting better, and it's so fascinating to me to see how the world almost seems like it was starting to kind of restore itself because humanity's impact had lessened so vastly and so quickly. So I think in that regard, humanity is changing forever with that, because hopefully that'll teach us to take better care of our earth and to realize how much of an impact we actually have had on wildlife and nature and the environment.
I hope society changes. I personally feel that it should, because I think that we should be putting a lot of things, new orders into place just to make sure that something this big, this drastic doesn't happen again. I do feel like that immediately following, people will start to clean up more, clean themselves more, take more care of their bodies, and just be more aware of their overall health. And so I feel like it's a good thing, although we are coming off of something so traumatic. Hopefully society will take the changes necessary in order to make sure this doesn't happen again.
I'm not sure, but I really hope so. I hope this could be like the push maybe that we need in order to come together a little bit more. Maybe it'll help us policy-wise implement some more progressive policies that'll be good for people. Maybe things like Medicare for all. I know a lot of people are losing their jobs during this time. So like if your healthcare, for instance, is tied to your employer, and you get laid off, then you just don't have healthcare in the middle of a global pandemic. That's terrible. Things like the minimum wage, increasing the minimum wage, putting money in more people's pockets. People like fast food workers, grocery store workers, we label these jobs as like essential during a time like this, because they feed society, they help push everything forward, but they don't make like a livable wage, so it's not all that fair. I hope it'll change this just by bringing us together. I can't really speak for other countries, but as for the U.S., we've been really polarized, really divided ever since 2016. Even before that. So I hope it just helps us care about each other more, and people learn to start implementing those health standards. Yeah, the doctors are stressing so much. Washing your hands often, coughing in your elbow, maybe try to not touch as many public services. Things like that, we should be doing anyway, regardless if there's a huge chaotic pandemic going on. But I hope it brings us together. That's it.